right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today as we talk about building futures, resources for starting an apprenticeship program in LA County. My name is William Lopez. I'm one of the founding team members of Build Within. Super excited to have you all here today. And before we get started, I just want to make sure individuals had an opportunity to answer the poll. Really want to learn more about who you are, what role do you play, and then also a couple housekeeping items. So below on the Zoom, you should see Q&A. So please, this is a discussion. We want to share a little bit more about what apprenticeships are, how you can help employers or yourself get started with an apprenticeship program, and sort of the benefits and how easy LA County's Department of Economic Opportunity has made it for LA County residents and LA County employers to start registered apprenticeship programs. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. For today, what we really want to go ahead and highlight is what is the struggle that employers are going through today, specifically around hiring individuals and then also retaining individuals. We also want to talk a little bit more about skill-based hiring. What does it really mean to hire individuals based on the skills and their potential? Then we'll dive in deep into professional apprenticeships. Now, most of you have probably heard of apprenticeships when it comes to construction and trade. But there's really is this growing trend and this growing need of solving a lot of the workforce problems that employers are facing through professional apprenticeships, apprenticeships that are not in the construction and trades, but more focused on, individuals who are in office settings or don't have a direct supervisor over their shoulders, ensuring that they're doing a great job. And then last but not least, we want to talk about available resources to employers and partners in the area around starting a registered apprenticeship program. Next slide. All right. So first thing I want to do is actually start off by giving you a little background as to who Build Within is. So Build Within is a technology company focused on helping organizations across the country start, manage, and scale registered apprenticeship programs really easily. We ran apprenticeship programs for over 10 years, and our goal was really expanding this opportunity and this work-based learning structure to as many employers across the country. So really our mission is Mission Zero. And this really is born out of the idea of, providing individuals an opportunity that they otherwise would not through registered apprenticeship programs. Next slide. Mission Zero is really focused on zero vacancies, where individual employers aren't struggling to find great talent, and they can explore different talent pools, and people from different backgrounds and experiences can come into their organization and be successful. Zero unemployment is really the idea behind a region or a city or county like LA getting to zero unemployment, where people have an opportunity to go into jobs, gain the skills that are needed for that job, and be successful. And then last but not least, really zero barriers. And so the idea here is to provide people the opportunity to go into any industry, make a change in their careers, and actually be successful in those careers, and not limit the barriers and reduce the barriers of entry for those type of roles. So I talked about this a little bit, but what is the talent struggle that's going on right now with employers? And so we talked to hundreds of employers across the country, and specifically in LA County. And we're hearing the same thing. We're hearing two things. One, it's hard to find people. And then two, it's hard to keep good people. And really, what employers are spending around $4,700 in order to hire someone on their team. Roughly, it takes about anywhere between 30 to 50 days to fill a position. And then the average time for that new employee to become fully productive is anywhere between 3 to 8 months. And so, as you can see here, traditional hiring methods such as reviewing resumes, waiting for the best fit, making sure somebody ticks off 9 out of the 10 items on the job description It's taking a long time, requires a lot of upfront investment. And then ultimately, with the retention rates that most industries are facing nowadays, it's not providing a return on the investment with the traditional hiring methods. This is really what's leading to the growth of skill-based hiring and specifically around professional apprenticeships. So what does skill-based hiring do for an organization? One, it expands the pool of talent that the employer can access. And so typically, most employers are focused on individuals, depending on the job, on individuals who have several years of experience or specific types of certificates or degrees, but skill-based hiring really focuses on the ability of an individual and the potential they have in being successful within that organization. And so that really opens up the door for a lot of the non-traditional talent or varied backgrounds and experiences that individuals have. With professional apprenticeships, really, this just provides a structured professional development opportunity for most employers. And so most employers right now either have some type of upskilling, reskilling, or skilling within their roles. They just don't call it a professional apprenticeship or a registered apprenticeship. But with the professional apprenticeship, it really is a structured base of providing someone the skills that they need for that specific role within a specific industry by providing them the instruction and the content for that role, so best practices, the content, the learning, and then also providing them a list of skills that they're going to gain for that specific role. So it's combining both aspects of learning, which is the best practices and the concepts with the skills that are needed to be successful within that role itself. And it's doing it all in one place through professional apprenticeships. And then last but not least, it also provides a very structured approach to coaching and mentoring for that individual that's going into that apprenticeship. And so, really it provides a framework for the individuals that are coaching or mentoring the apprentice, specific list of the competencies and skills that they're going to gain, along with also reviewing what are the content and the best practices that they're going to be learning for that specific skill and industry as well. One thing that's not mentioned also around professional apprenticeships is that professional apprenticeships also have a lot of benefits to it as well. Not only do they get a degree at the end or a certification of completion for that specific role at the end of the registered apprenticeship program, whether that's through the Department of Labor, saying that they gain the skills and the best practices and the knowledge for that specific role, but also for the employer, there's a lot of benefits. One, it increases employee loyalty. There was a study from McKinsey that said that the number one reason why individuals stay within a company isn't so much about it isn't salary. That's actually the second reason. The number one reason is career growth and opportunity. And so an employee that's in a registered or professional apprenticeship, they find that the employer is providing them a lot of opportunity and opportunity for growth and opportunity for learning. They'll stay in that company for several years. One thing it mentions is that an individual can't see themselves within the same role for 5 years, but they can see themselves in the company for at least 10 years if there's a lot of growth and opportunity and learning available to the employee. The second is actually a physically wise investment for the employer. I mentioned this before, but there's a lot of upfront costs when it comes to retention. So not only are they spending dollars on hiring individuals, there's a lot of opportunity costs that gets lost because you have a lot of individuals that go through the hiring process for an individual person that the employer may be looking for. And if they stay less than a year, there's no ROI in that investment that they put up front. And so with the registered apprenticeship program, there's a lot of opportunity to be fiscally responsible as well. So with the professional apprenticeship or registered apprenticeship, what an employer can do is actually provide the apprentice, the opportunity to start at a lower wage while they're earning and while they're learning on the job and gaining the skills necessary. And as that apprentice is gaining the skills and completing the best practices and content and the learning or the related supplemental instruction, as they call it in California, then that person can get a wage increase throughout the year of their apprenticeship program as well. So there's a lot of opportunity for cost savings up front, and it reduces the risk for the employer as well when it comes to providing that individual an opportunity to learn on the job. And then last but not least, you increase your talent pool. And so, one of the biggest things there is that right now everyone or most of the employers are fishing in the same pond. And that's why a lot of those individuals that they're actually getting or hiring are now moving to other industries or other jobs, because those are the people that get poached or get talked to by other employers. By increasing your talent pool, you're now increasing the diversity of the individuals that you're hiring into your organizations. That not only brings new ideas, but it also increases the opportunity for other people to come into your job as well. So a larger talent pool is always a benefit to employers as well. Now, what are the ROI or the return of investment on apprenticeships for an employer? So typically 90% of apprentices retain employment after graduating. So a professional apprenticeship for the most part will last at least a year. There's really two really important components of an apprenticeship program. It's the related supplemental instruction. That's the best practices and the content that the apprentice learns regarding the role. And then it's the on-the-job learning. So it's actually doing the task and putting into practice what they're learning. And so one thing you'll notice here is that 90% of apprentices retain employment after graduation. So after they complete the best practices of content or the related supplemental instruction, and they complete and they gain all the skills necessary for that specific role, they typically stay on with the employer. One note here too is that 95% of apprentices are still with the employer after 5 years. So I mentioned this before, but because the apprentice or the employee found that the organization is giving them an opportunity to grow and providing them learning opportunities as well, those employees tend to stay at an organization or an employer longer than most typical employees now that are part of the same talent pool as well. There's also been a huge growth of registered apprenticeship programs since 2014. And most of you may know this already, but the governor of California also has an initiative to increase the number of registered apprenticeship programs in the state. So a lot of incentive, a lot of opportunity for highlighting employers and the work that you are doing at the state level by increasing the number of apprenticeship programs there are. And then there's a $1.44 return to employers for every dollar invested in an apprentice. So there's also government incentives to help subsidize the first 3 months of wages for those apprentices as well. So for every dollar invested, there's about 44 cents returned back on that dollar, $1.44 returned back on that dollar, which means that not only is that a cost savings because you're keeping great employees, but then also it's a cost savings up front. Because you're not you're giving an opportunity to someone to earn while they learn, and you don't have to pay them the full wage until they complete certain milestones of that apprenticeship program as well. Now, the reason why we're here today and the reason why we're talking about registered apprenticeship programs is because we have a really great partner in LA County. So LA County Department of Economic Opportunity, whose mission and vision that you can see here in some of their services as well, has made it available to to all employers and residents of LA County that meet certain requirements to start registered apprenticeship programs and do it with ease. And so a lot of folks will hear this, or maybe you've heard this in the past. Starting a registered apprenticeship program requires a lot of, going through a lot of red tape or a lot of the bureaucratic process, or it takes several months. But luckily with the Department of Economic Opportunity and our partnership with them, they've made it available where an employer can start a registered apprenticeship program in a matter of minutes, and also receive a lot of the incentive funding and support that's necessary for an employer to start a registered apprenticeship programs for LA County residents. Now, I said this before, so there's a lot of opportunity, and you're probably asking yourself, well, that sounds great. How does an employer start a registered apprenticeship program in a matter of minutes? How does this all work? So first and foremost, there is no cost whatsoever to the employer nor the individual that's going into an apprenticeship program. So whether you are working with an employer who wants to start a registered apprenticeship program or looking to solve workforce problems, like finding great people, keeping great people, or you yourself are an employer and you're looking to solve those two problems or other problems, or you're someone who's working with the candidates or people who are looking for on-the-job training opportunities. This is a great way to start a registered or professional apprenticeship program. It's no cost whatsoever to any of the stakeholders, thanks to the Department of Economic Opportunity. There's additional benefits to that as well, which is one, there's wage reimbursement. So 90% of the wages are paid for the first 90 days. And this is because of the opportunities that are available in LA County to increase the number of registered apprenticeship programs. We also work with the employers to find great candidates. And so we pre-screen a lot of the job seekers presented, and then we will present them to the employers or work with you to present those individuals to those employers who are ready to start a registered apprenticeship program. And then last but not least, typically with a registered apprenticeship program, there's a lot of administration and a lot of compliance that goes along with that. Thanks to, and this is where Build Within comes in, the technology platform and the partnership that we have with the Department of Economic Opportunity has made it available, has made the technology available to employers as well. So there's no cost to the employer or to the apprentice, and they now have an opportunity to manage all the administration and the compliance needed for a registered apprenticeship program through the technology platform, which is a minimal lift for the employer if they're working with us. We will provide the training, we will provide the support, and we will also help with the administration and the compliance of registered apprenticeship programs so the employer can focus on the apprentice and the apprentice can focus on learning while they're earning as well. Now, what does the technology offer? So first and foremost, it's off the shelf. And so we are an intermediary with the state of California and also nationally with the U.S. Department of Labor. And we have over several roles, and we'll have a slide here around all the roles that are available to start registered apprenticeship programs in. And so if any employer is looking to start a registered apprenticeship program in any of those roles, they can do it in a matter of minutes. Just reach out to me, and I have my contact information at the end of this presentation. They can reach out to me and we can help them get started in just a matter of minutes. It's literally just signing a couple pieces of paper, walking through the formalities of what an apprenticeship program is, and they'll have a registered apprenticeship program registered as well. The second thing is all of the learning that the apprentice needs to complete, all of the skills that the apprentice needs to learn or gain while they're on the job is pre-built into the solution and the software. And so everything is off the shelf. So there's a pathway that has all of the training curriculums and it's all accessible online and also mobile responsive. So the apprentice can learn it while they're going to work, coming out of work, or on the weekends. And it's also available for the employer to review. And then also all the tracking and reporting is available online as well. So it's a minimal lift for the employer to have to provide the training or outline the skills that the person's going to gain. It's all pre-built into the software as well. And then last but not least, there's also an AI mentor that actually a companion to the apprentices, to the managers, to the employers to support them in running an apprenticeship program. For the apprentices, this helps solve a lot of the problems like, how do I ask my manager for time off? What does it mean to do X, Y, and Z? How do I complete a task that my manager is asking me to complete? So the companion supports the apprentice. And then for managers and the employers, it provides them a framework and a companion to also help them identify what are some tasks that they can assign to the apprentice based on the skills that they need to gain. So all of it is available online, accessible, mobile responsive. It's all pre-built. And then, of course, we provide on top of that additional support and training needed to the employer, to the apprentice, and anyone in order for them to focus on the apprenticeship program as well. Here are a sample of the available apprenticeships that we have available that an organization can start immediately. So office operations manager, software developer, payroll specialist, cybersecurity specialist, We have all of the curriculum pre-built within the Build Within solution, and then we have all of the skills pre-built already for those specific roles. So the employer just needs to say, I want to start an apprenticeship program here, and all of it will become available to them immediately. The other thing too is that if you're an employer and you're looking at these roles and you're like, I don't have an office operations role, but I have an administrator, an admin assistant or admin administrator role, that's okay. The titles don't necessarily need to match if the function of the role matches the skills and the learning that the person's going to gain. So if you have any questions regarding that, just reach out to me directly or put it onto the chat. Happy to answer those questions and provide any information necessary and do one-on-ones with any employers that are looking for this as well. Now, this is my contact information. With the Department of Economic Opportunity, please feel free to reach out to Jonathan Diaz. This is his email. And then also, here's my email. And then I'll put my phone number into the chat if you want to just give me a call. I'm also available. But the idea here is that we're trying to spread this opportunity to as many employers. So I have one ask from every single person here on the call today is if you take anything with you after this webinar, is that it's free for all LA County residents and employers. There's some requirements, but we can talk about those more when we're talking one-on-one. Two, everything is off the shelf. So there is no needing the employer to develop curriculum, develop content, or even create the competencies or the skills that the person's going to get. It's all off the shelf, so they're able to access it from any device, and it's all pre-built for them. And then the last thing I'll say here is that it's super easy to start. You don't have to wait months. You don't have to go through a lot of the red tape of the bureaucracy to start a registered apprenticeship program. Employers that are already onboarded here or working with us on the partnership have started the registered apprenticeship program. It only took a matter of minutes. And there's incentive for them to start registered apprenticeship programs. So 90% of the wages are paid, for the first 90 days of the program, of the apprenticeship program as well. So if you're interested in starting, please scan me to book a meeting. Shoot me an email, and I'll put my phone number on the chat here as well. If you have any questions, I'm going to stay on a little bit longer to answer any of those questions. But thank you so much for taking the opportunity to join us today. And I look forward to hearing from you. Please, even if it's like a very simple question, just put it on the chat or reach out to me. I really want to connect with you and hear what you all are hearing from employers, from your team, or even applicants who are looking to start or join a registered apprenticeship program as well.